Hi there. Learn how to code this timeless snake game from scratch, adding your own creative from designing the game grid to coding the snake's movement and collision detection. We'll guide you through every step from setting up the project to implementing the game logics such as dynamic text on canvas, food with random colors and position, auto updated on scores with end results, and much more with JavaScript. Here's a preview of what we'll be creating today. First, user can see the container with text says press space to start the game. Once we press, our snake game will allow players to control the snake, eat food, and grow longer with each meal. While adding the meal, the score will automatically updated on top and the game ends if the snake collides with itself and will display the results with game over and total number of food taken by the snake. Again, we can hit the space, it will reset the game to play. Don't miss out this fun and educational project, and I upload unique project videos every week. Please give it a thumbs up if you really enjoy this video and leave a comment below if you have any questions or suggestions. Make sure to subscribe our channel Sarachandar K. Your support means a lot. That helps me to create more content for you, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Now let's dive into the code. Let's open this Snake Game project folder in my favorite code editor, Visual Studio Code. Let me know yours favorite and why in our comment box below. Inside the directory, I have already created index.html, style.css and script.js. In the index.html, I have added the HTML boilerplate with the help of exclamation mark. Along with that, I have changed the title to Snake Game by Sharat Chandar K. And below, I have linked the style.css and script.js what we have created here. Now inside the body, we need to create the project of Snake Game. First, we'll add the S2 element for heading. In Visual Studio Code, we have a embed abbreviation to add the H2 element with class value. For that, I will type h2.score. If I hit enter, it will automatically created the h2 element with class attribute with the value of score. Next to this, I will add one more element of canvas. This element is the hero of today's project. Canvas is used to draw graphics on the fly via scripting. Now we need to style this. For that, I need to jump to the style.css. In the style.css, I have already added import URL of font family poppins. Along with that, I have added global selector of asterisk to reset the margin to 0px, adding to 0px, box sizing, border box, font family of poppins from an import URL. Now we need to style this body with the help of element selector name called body. First, we'll set the background color to blue color. Next, we'll set the min height to 100 width. We'll set the display to flags. This will help to align the content into the center of the screen with the help of align item center. Justify content center. We'll set the flags direction to column. This will help to set the H1 and canvas into a column view. Next thing, we need to add the styles to this today heroes of canvas with the help of element selector name called canvas. We'll set the background color of black and we'll set the box shadow to this with 14px 0 and 0 of position, and we'll set the shadow color of white. That's all for the HTML and CSS. Are you thinking about using using this minimal code to create a game grid, snake, and food with random colors. Our previous JavaScript game playlist included games such as memory code game, rock paper scissors, tic tac toe, word guessing game, and many others. All of these projects we have added the HTML element with CSS styles and actions in JavaScript. But here we want to do something more advanced. Our plan is to create graphic games with Canvas using JavaScript for the upcoming weeks because we are close to completing our 52 weeks of 52 projects. During this 52-week period, we have covered many projects from beginner to advanced level. If you are interested in becoming a successful front-end developer, start coding or enhancing your programming skills, we have something for everyone. I have included all the links in the description. If you are interested, please check them out. If you are learned something valuable, please click the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to ensure you don't miss out on our weekly unique projects. Feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or upcoming projects with me in the comment box below. Now let us see our HTML file in action. For that, in Visual Studio Code, we have an extension called Go Live. Once we click, the tool will automatically run our project into the default browser. Here we can see the background color and then canvas is set to the center of the screen with black color. With this, we need to create the snake, food, and actions and all with the help of JavaScript. For that, I need to jump to the script.js. First, we'll set the event listener of DOM content loader with the help of document. Document is an owner of your web page. With the help of this, we need to add the event listener of add event listener of DOM content loaded. This will help us to load this document of event listener once the DOM content loaded. Inside this, we need to initialize the canvas with the help of const and canvas as name equal to document dot query selector of that element value of canvas. First, we'll check what this canvas contains. For that, I will use console.log to check this. If I save, if I go to the browser, here in the insert element, in the console, I can see the canvas element with the help of that query selector. That is how the DOM tree will work. For this canvas, we need to add the snakes and food. Before that, we need to set the get context with the help of let of global variable ctx as name with canvas dot get context of 2D. The get context method returns an object with tools for drawing like properties and methods. First, we'll set the text to this canvas with the help of ctx dot font equal to font size will be 25 px. We'll set the font family to Poppins. Again, we'll set the ctx dot fill text. This will help us to add the text. Inside that, we'll set the press space to start the game. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we are getting Canva rendered 3 arguments required. Here we need to set the argument of positions with the help of 0 and 0. This will set the position of x and y. The HTML canvas is a two-dimensional grid, so only we are using this as x and y. If I save, if I go to the browser, now the error is gone, but text we can't able to see. For that, we need to set the text center of the canvas with the help of ctx dot texture line equal to center as well as ctx dot text baseline equal to middle. Now we'll set the color to this with the help of ctx fill style like as an color. In the styles, we'll set the same background color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the start the game. So instead of that, I can set to 10 of the x, y for 10. If I save, now now it is getting little down. So instead of 10, I will set to 50. We'll get this. Same as we'll set to 150. Now we can able to see the text into the canvas. Now we'll set the width and height to the canvas with the help of const width equal to canvas dot width equal to 400. The same thing I will copy and I will paste it below. Instead of width, I will change to height equal to 400. Here in one declaration, we are using to set the canvas height as well as we have captured this canvas height into the declaration of W. So I will do the console.log to check this of W and H. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the canvas width set to 400 and height to 400, as well as we have set the declaration the value of 400 and 400. With the one step of declaration we used to functional. Now we need to set this text into the center. I will divide the width of W by 2. The same thing I will set to height divided by 2. Now this will set to 200 and this will set to 200 and we'll get the center point of that canvas. If I save, if I refresh, now we can see the text with Poppins font family is set to the center of the canvas. Now the text says press space to start the game. For this we need to create some functions. Based on that we can start the game and we can start adding the snake as well as the food. First, as I said, we'll add one function with function keyword and then name of start game. Inside this start game only we need to add the snake and food. For that also we need to create two more function of snakes and food with the same function keyword of snake and second function as food. Now inside this snake, as I said, the canvas is a two-dimensional, so we need to mention this dot x equal to 0, this dot y equal to 0, and then we'll create one more function inside this dot draw, and inside this draw we need to create the snake. Same as for the food also, I will copy this draw function and I will set inside this and will set the this dot x of declaration to the food, this dot y of declaration. This is a function. We have missed the function keyword, so I need to add the function keyword here as well as here. Now we need to initialize this with the help of let declaration of global variable. I will set the let snake and food. Now we need to declare this function into this global declaration so we can access anywhere into this document. So only I have set this as a global declaration. Now I will assign this snake equal to new snake. Whenever we are calling this function of start game, the snake will set to reset to new snake of this function. The same thing will add the food to new food. This will help us to reset this global declaration with the help of new keyword. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't see anything. We have added this function, we have not yet initialized it. For that, I will initialize this snake game on globally. If I save, if I go to the browser, we are getting the error cannot access snake before initialization because this is a let. We need to call after this because the hosting of let is not assigned before this. If I save, if I go to the browser, here will not get that error. Now we need to draw the snake with the help of this function of snake draw. Here we can create the snake with the graphics with the help of 2D with CTX. We'll set the fill style. This is as a color of fill. We need to set this fill style to white color. I will set the ctx dot filled react. Previously, we have add the fill text to add the text. The same as we need to add the rectangles. We need to use the fill rect. For this also, we need to set the dimension of x and y and width and height of this box. We'll set this dot x, comma, this dot y from this declaration. This will set to 0 on the first time. We'll set the 50 of width and 50 of height. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, here will not get anything because we have created this function. Again, we have not yet initialized it. So inside this, we'll call this snake dot draw. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the snake of width of 50, height of 50. Instead of 50, I will change to 20. It will reduce here. If I change to 20, it will reduce like this. Now we are setting this as static. We need to set for dynamic. So for that, I will use some global declaration. Let cells equal to 20. I will use this cells to assign the snake. I will replace the 22 cells. If I save, we'll get the same. Now here we have start the game. Still the text is there. For that we need to clear inside the snake. We'll set ctx before initializing the draw. Ctx dot clear react because here we have filled the react. So same for we have the function of clear react. With this we can clear with 0 and 0 of x and y. We'll set the width of 400 and height of 400 because we need to clear all the reacts with that height and width. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can't see the text here. Now only the snake is visible. So the next thing we need to draw the grid so user can identify where the snake and where the food is placing. So for that we need to create one more function of function draw grid. This will help us to draw the grid with the help of row and column. So first we'll set the ctx of line width. This is the width of that grid line. We'll set the 1.1. We'll set the ctx with dot of stroke style equal to, because we are setting this as a line, we'll set the color to light white color. We'll set the ctx dot show blur equal to 0. We are not going to set the blur to this. If I copy this function, I will initialize here. After the clear, if I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't see that because here we have created this, but we have not yet initialized that. How we can initialize that? Here we need to calculate the rows and columns. Based on that, we need to place the lines. So for that, simply we can create for each of let I equal to 1, I less than cells and I plus plus. Inside this, we need to check the rows and columns with the help of width divided by cells. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can get the 20 because we'll get the 20 of here and 20 from here. So for that, we'll set the ctx dot begin path. We'll set the ctx dot move to. Instead of this, we'll assign this to let declaration f equal to same thing. So I will add the f of x and y position of f to 20 and it will end to 0. And the same thing ctx dot line to same of f and then 0. We'll set the ctx dot stroke. This will help us to stroke the line, and we'll set the ctx again dot begin path ctx dot move to. Now it will start from 0 of x and it will end with f. The same thing for ctx of line 2, it will start off 0 and end with f. We'll set the ctx dot stroke and then we'll close the path with the help of ctx dot close path, because on the top we have created the path and here we are closing the path. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't able to see the lines because this f position is 20 all the time. So instead of that, we can calculate to I. Now it will get 20 into 1 20 and 20 into 2 for the second time. It is 40 60 80 100 till 400. If I save, if I go to the browser, we can't see that. So here we have set the line to start from f of 20 and will end to 0. Instead of 0, we'll set to height, and then same thing for this line too. Instead of 0, we'll set to width. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the grid line with the canvas. Now I will enable the snake.draw. If I save, if I go to the browser, here it is perfectly fixed on the cells of grid. Now we need to add the change direction. Whenever we click the arrows, this should be moved from here. Inside this snake function, we'll add one more function. This dot change direction equal to function keyword, and we'll set the direction here. Inside this, we'll add the switch case to find the direction, and we'll update the x and y's. We'll check the direction inside the switch. We need to add the case. We'll set up with break. Second case as down with break. Third case as right with break. Fourth case as left with break. Here we have created the directions. But how we can call this? So we'll check if it is firing or not with the help of console.log of direction. So I will use this console.log on top of this switch case. If I go to the browser, if I click on arrows, it will not fire the console because here we have created the function, we have not yet initialized it. So how we can initialize it? So we can initialize with add event listener of key down. For this, I will create one more window dot add event listener. For this, with the help of key down. For this function, we'll get the e, and inside this, we'll check the console.log of what this e returns. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click any of the key, we'll get the key code. I will clear. I will click on up, down, and right and left. Here we are getting the keyboard event and key code of arrow up, and then code of arrow up, and then location, and control key is false. If we click control and if I click arrow, we'll get that like control C or control V. See, if I click on control C, now the control key is click. If I click on control V, it will get the true of control key. Along with that, I have simply clicked that arrow up and down. It will return as false. With the help of this arrow key, we can call that function. Inside this event listener, we'll get that e dot function. Inside this event listener, we need to get the controls of up, down, and right and left. But here we are getting the keys of arrow up and arrow down. We need to replace this. So for that, what I will do, I will create one more const and value of direction e dot key, because we are getting this as a key. E dot replace will replace the arrow of word to empty. Now we'll check the console.log of direction. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on arrow up, we'll get only up, down, right and left. How simple is this, right? Instead of checking this enter arrow up and key, here we have a common word. So I have removed from here. Now we'll add the if condition. If the snake is present, then only we can add the directions to that, right? With the help of snake dot change direction. Now we'll pass the direction what we have received from the key down event. Now the change direction will fire. If I go to the browser, if I click, we'll get the up, down, right and left from change direction function. With the help of this, we need to change the position of this snake. For that, we need to add some declaration to this snake with the help of this dot x speed equal to cells asterisk 1. What this x speed contains, the first time the cells of value to be 20. If we click the direction, it will change to year and will update the x speed to 40, and it will change the snake from year to year. The same as will set the declaration of this dot y speed equal to 0. First time this is 0, we are clicking down, then we need to change the cells of this. Along with that, we'll add this dot total. This will help us to find the total food consumed by the snake. This dot tail, this will help us to collect all the food as tail. Based on the food count, it will automatically updated here. First, we'll change the direction with the help of this. If this dot y speed triple equal to 0, then we'll set the this dot x speed equal to 0, because we are going to change this direction of up with the direction of y. Then we'll update the this dot y speed equal to minus cells asterisk 1. This minus cells into this, it will 20 and it will minus from here of the 400. It will set to minus 20 into 1 and it will change the direction from here to here. If it is confusing, wait for some times. I will explore with the output. I will copy and paste for down also. We'll set the down keyword instead of minus. We'll set to cells into 1. For the same thing of right and left also, instead of y will set to x speed here. We'll check x speed triple equal to 0. Then we'll set the this dot y speed equal to 0. The same thing, this dot x speed equal to cells asterisk 1. We'll copy this and use it for left also. For the left, we need to set the negative values. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, it will not changing because we need to update this with the help of another function here inside the snake. This dot update equal to, as I said, a function, and we'll set this for each to get the let I equal to 0 and I less than tail dot length. Based on this tail, we need to update it with the help of minus 1 I plus plus. If this is found, we'll set the this dot tail of array of I equal to this dot tail of array I plus 1. Then we'll change the this dot tail of this total minus 1. We'll set the grid position of this dot x and y of this dot y, and then we need to update this dot x plus equal to this dot x speed and this dot y plus equal to this dot y speed. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, it will not fire anything because we have not yet initialized it. Inside the start game, after creating the snake, we'll add the snake dot update. If I say, if I go to the browser, it will not update because here it is updated on one time. We need to update this every time. So how we can do that? So we need to update this snake on every time with the tails. So we can achieve this with the help of set interval. For the set interval, we need to create one global declaration of let game interval equal to 0 and we'll set the game speed equal to 250. With the help of this game interval, we can set the set interval of this function on inside this. We'll call this clear and draw grid and snake with update with the help of game speed. If I say, if I go to the browser, we are getting the error game speed before initialization because we have called this start game after that. So I will copy and paste it above. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the snake is automatically moving to right hand side. If I refresh, if I click up and down, now we can see the snake is going to the direction whatever we are pressing. If I click on up, we can see the console.log of up. If I click on down, the snake is went somewhere. So again I will refresh, I will click on down, right, down, left and up. Now if this is going up, if I click again down, it is not into the canvas, it is went somewhere. We need to fix that. Inside this update, we are checking the tile and updating the x and y position of the snake. Next to this, we'll add the if condition this dot x greater than equal to width. Then we'll set this dot x to 0. This width is 400. Same thing we'll set for y also. This dot y greater than equal to height will set the this dot y equal to 0. If I save, if I go to the browser, now it is going toward this. Now if it is ends with width, it is automatically set to 0. Again we can see the loop of this one on all the time. If I go to the down star, if I click on down, I will go for the height. Now also it is coming. So if I go to here on the right hand side, it will come for the loop. If I go for the left hand side, what will happen? Now it is going to the left hand side, but it is not coming to the right hand side. What happened? Because we have set this y dot x equal to 0 we have calculated with y greater than equal to height and width. So we need to check same as start from 0 also. If this dot x less than 0, then we'll set the this dot x equal to width of minus cells. Now the width is 400, we'll set to minus cells of 20, we'll get the 380 here. So it will go from here and it will get from 380 on this end of the width of 400. Same thing I will use for y also. If y less than 0, we'll set the y height minus cells. If I save, if I go to the browser, now it is navigating to right to left. Again, if I click on left, now it is going to the left to right, and we are getting the left to right here. And we can navigate from here, and we can go from here to here, and we'll return from right to left also. So the next thing, we need to create the food. So based on that food, snake will go and eat that and it will grow. So for that we have already created the food with draw function. For this draw function we need to add the draw of food with the help of ctx dot shadow blur equal to 20. I need to set the blur for the food and we'll set the ctx dot shadow color to, we'll set the white ctx dot fill style equal to same white color. Now we'll set the ctx dot fill react of this dot x, this dot y, and we'll set the height of cells from 20, width of cells from 20. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't see because we need to call this draw function inside the same of start game. So next to this draw, we'll set the food dot draw. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the food and snake on both on same place, but it is moving. So for the food, we no need to move. We need to set in the random position. Once the snake has eaten, then again it is changed to other position. For that, we need to create one more function inside the food with the function name of pick location equal to function keyword. Inside this function, we'll set the this dot x equal to math dot floor of math dot random and this dot y equal to math dot floor of math dot random. Again we need to call this so we can initialize. Instead of this set interval we need to initialize on the top, because if we have set to the set interval it will dynamically change the position on every 250 milliseconds. So instead of that I will set to food dot pick location. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't see that. Why? Because we'll check what this x and y contains. Console dot log of this dot x, this dot y. If I save, if I go to the browser, here this is NaN. NaN means not a number. We can set this food inside the canvas, right? For that we need to find the rows and columns. Then only we can fit this food inside the canvas. For that we need to find the rows and columns with the help of const declaration. We'll set the rows equal to height divided by cells. The same thing const columns equal to width divided by cells. The both will return the same value because the height and width is 400. So we'll check this inside the pick location of rows and cells. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the 20 into 20. So here we have 20 rows and 20 columns. Inside this 20 rows and 20 columns, we need to place this food anywhere in the grid, right? So only we have added this rows and columns. So inside this AX, we can check for math.random into rows and asterisk of columns, and here we have assigned this x and y. If I go to the browser, still it is none. Here we have divided into the rows, but we need to set for that particular size, right? For the particular size of the food is 20. So we have already assigned to this cells, so we can multiply by width of this cells. Here we have missed this random as a function. If I save, if I go to the browser now, we'll get 80 and then 340. 40. If I refresh, now we'll get 40 and 160. If I refresh, we'll get 60 and 320. If I refresh, we'll get this. But here the snake also adding the shadow. But for the snake, we have not added the shadow, right? So we'll check this in shortly. If I refresh, we'll get, if I go to the food, it is not added into the snake. For that, we need to add the eat function to add the snakes as grow. For that, I need to jump to the snake function. Next to the change direction, I will add this dot eat equal to one more function, and we'll set the food here, and we'll check this dot x triple equal to food dot x, and then this dot y should be equal to food dot y. We'll check the console dot log of match this position. If I save, if I go to the browser, I was navigate and I was set here, but here we have not get that console.log because we have created this eat, but we have not yet called. For that, I will go here, we'll check one more if condition. If snake dot eat, then we'll pause the food from here. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we have get that random portion of food. See, now we can get the console.log of match. It was written for 3 times because we have touched this for 3 times. Once the snake and food matches, we need to remove from here and we need to append from some other and need to grow the snake. For that, inside this here, once the food is matched, then we need to set the random position, right? So again, I will call this food dot location. I will save. I'll jump to the browser. If I refresh, I will go and eat this food. If I test this food, it is matched, but the dynamic food of random position again it is not picking. So we'll check the console.log of this with x this dot y. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will go and eat that food. Once we touch the food, we'll get the console.log of match. Once we get this match, then we need to add the snake tail as +1. So for that, inside this eat function, instead of this console.log, I will set to this dot total. Once I touch this food, the random position is not working, right? Because inside this eat function, we need to send the return to true. If the position is matched, it will set to true, else will return false. So only it is not picking because here we are checking as a if condition. If this is true, then only it went to here. So now again I will jump to the browser. If I go and touch this, now the food is dynamically jumped to other places. So I can click, it will went to some other places. We can able to find that. So now all the time the food is in same color. Once we touch, we need to change that random color, right? That is very simple. For that, inside the food, we need to create one more declaration of this dot color equal to HSL. What is this HSL colors? I'll go and show you HSL colors. So this is the HSL colors. It will pick based on the degree. So here it is HSL. I will set to 10. Now it will change the color from here. So this is the H, S and L. So based on this, we can pick a dynamic colors and will set to the food. So same as that, I will add the string concatenation to this with the help of math.random of function will set to in between 360° because in that HSL we have the 360°. We'll set the 100% as yes and we'll set the 50% of L. So I will use this dot color instead of shadow as well as fill style. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the only white color. If I set, again it is showing only the white color. Why? Because whenever we picked this, that time also we need to set. So for that, I will cut this, I will place. Here we'll set this dot color. Here, if I save, if I go to the browser, you're not getting the color. Why? Because we have set this color HSL as entire function. Instead of this, I will remove the function of outside and I will assign this same as on the top. If I save, if I go to the browser, still it is white color because here we have set to round instead of math.random. If I save, if I go to the browser, we'll get that random colors shadow effect on the food. Now once we add, we need to update the score as well as update the tiles also. First, we'll update the score, that is easy. Here in the interval, we can add document dot query selector of dot of that score to the h2 into the index.html. We'll set the inner text equal to score of string concatenation. We'll set the snake dot total. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the 0 because inside the snake we have set the total to 0. Once we eat the food, then we need to set the this dot total plus plus. If I save, if I go to the browser, now the score is 0. I will go and eat one of the food. Now the score is 1. Now the score is 2. Now the score is 3. And we'll do that and we'll pick the score based on the food is eaten. Now we need to append the tiles based on the food. For that, in the draw, we need to add one more for each of for let I equal to 0. We are checking the I less than this dot tail dot length I plus plus. Then we'll set the ctx dot fill react of this dot tail dot x and this dot tail dot y. This tail as array. So we'll use the array of I. For this also we'll use the array of I and we'll set the height and width of cells with 20. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the snake is moving and we can see the food. If we go and eat, the food is added to the snake and scores also updated. It is adding, and if I go and eat this, the shadow of this snake is added based on the food is recently taken. So we need to fix that. Once we call it, we need to set the game over to this because the snake is eaten their body with the mouth. First, we can fix the blur thing for the snake by the help of CTX and then we'll set the shadow blur to 0. This will not affect that CTX of the snake. If I go to the browser, now we can't see the snake is not getting the blur effect, only the food is getting the blur effect. If the snake consume the food, that time also we can't able to see the blur effect on the snake. So now we need to add the collits. For that, we need to create one more function inside the snake. After the eat, we'll set this dot check collision equal to function. Inside this, we'll add for each of let I equal to 0, I less than this dot tail dot length I plus plus. Here we are checking how many tails is present here. Inside this, we'll add the conditional statement with the help of this dot x of the snake position will be equal to this dot tail array of I dot x and then the same thing we need to check for y also. If both the position is matched, then we need to set the game over message to that. Along with that, we need to remove all the tiles inside the snake. First, we'll reset the tail with the help of this dot tail and I will set the array of null. So I will copy this. Next to this, we'll add the initialization of snake dot check collision. Again, I will jump to the browser. I will take the food and the score will be updating. Now I will call it with itself. Now the snake has gone, but we are getting the error. Cannot read property of X because again it is getting the diagram for this snake. So we need to fix that. So with the help of some global declaration, we'll set let game over equal to true and then is game start equal to true. Now I will use this game over into the function of that update and will set the game over to this check collision Once the snake bites, we need to set the game over equal to true and is game start equal to true. Now we need to check this game over on inside the update because this update is automatically checking for each tiles. So here inside this we'll check the game over of true, then we'll set the return from here. Now if I refresh, we are getting the snake and food, but this is not updating. Why? Because here we have set the game over. If it is true, then we set to return here, and then other things below it will not fire. So only the snake is not updating. So for that, whenever we click on space for the first time, we need to display the text and we can start the game, right? For that, instead of this start game initialization, I will remove from here. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, we'll get the Canva without grid effect and we'll get the text here. Now based on this, once we hit paste, then only we need to start the game. For that, we need to add the event listener. For this, we have already added the key down here. With the help of this key down, we can add one more if condition to check if e dot key double equal to space or e dot code double equal to space or e dot key code double equal to 32. All the three condition is assigned to the space. So whenever we click that, we start the game. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I hit on space, we'll get this. But still the snake is not running. Why? Because once we start and then we'll set the game over equal to false. Along with that, we need to hit the space button for one time to start the game. For that, we have added one more boolean variable. I will set to is game starts because this is true for the first time. Once we click this, then we'll set to false again. Now we can hit the space and start the game only one time. So again I will jump to the browser, I will refresh. If I hit on space, if I click the space many times, will not able to start the game. If I eat the food and if I call it, now we'll get the only naked, all the food and tails gone. Because of that, collides with itself by the snake, it is not going to run. Now again, if I eat, now it is going fast. So for that, we need to set to reset on this. For that, inside the start game, we'll check the if game interval, this game interval is set to this set interval. Once this is present, again while starting the game, we'll clear the interval of that game interval because this game interval we have initialized to that and then we'll set the game interval equal to 0. So if I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on space, we'll get the snake. If you want to speed up this, so only we have added the game speed as separate variable. Instead of 250, we'll set to 50. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on space, now we can see the speed of this snake. So we can make this as easy and medium and advanced level. So based on that level, we can assign the speed. So now I will collate with the snake itself. So instead of 250, I will set to 250 again. I will refresh. I will hit space. Now we'll start the game. We'll go and add the food and I will collate itself. Once it's collates, user don't know what was the score and what is happened here. So for that, we need to set the score update on the header tag. That is very simple. Here in the set interval, we'll check if game over. If this is game over, I can copy this declaration and I will set to game over. Your score is snake dot total and else will show the score of that snake. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, we'll get this. If I hit space, we'll start the game. We'll take the food as much as we can and now we'll collate the snake itself. Now we'll get the game over message with your score is 0 and again we can hit the space and we'll start the game and we'll play as much as we can. Here we have completed snake game. You can control the snake with arrow keys, eat food and grow longer, avoid running into yourself. Simple and addictive, right? And that's it. A complete snake game built with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Feel free to customize and expand this basic setup to add more feature and improve the design. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more tutorials. If you are interested in JavaScript projects like this, I have created and added a playlist link in the description. Please do check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.